Okay, last one on this sort of topic for a while because I'm tired of talking about it, honestly. I want to get back to fun science videos. So this one is about research and studies and kind of how they're done. So generally what happens first is somebody notices a thing. They're like, hey, we noticed this thing and we want to look at it more. And so that is the process of looking at it more is exploratory research. So that looks at a thing and notices any patterns or like anything interesting about it. And the purpose of exploratory research is to establish patterns and form hypotheses. It's generally more flexible and free-flowing, and you can basically just do whatever, and you're like, hey, this is cool. We looked at it more and this is what we found. What's important about exploratory research, though, is it cannot form conclusions. It can only look at patterns and form hypotheses about it. So if there's, for example, a research saying like, hey, we noticed that this plant grows better when there's this chemical in the soil. That's great, but you cannot say this chemical makes this plant grow better based purely on noticing patterns. For that, you need confirmatory research, which is the next step in that. So after exploratory research happens and you form a hypothesis after that, you go into confirmatory research. So confirmatory research, it takes those patterns and hypotheses noticed from exploratory research and conducts an experiment around them. So if exploratory research determined it looks like this plant grows better with this chemical in the soil, then the hypothesis would be formed like around that plant growing better, and then confirmatory research would be done. And an experiment done based on like, okay, we grew this plant with this chemical in the soil and then without this chemical in the soil, and then measured the heights and the amount of flowers it produced. And then after getting all of the data from the confirmatory research, then you can form conclusions about that. So if the plant did grow like 10 feet taller with the chemical in the soil, you could be like, yeah, this soil most likely causes the chemical, the plants to grow higher, and then that's kind of how it's done. Then you get your research published, and then you're famous and good at science.